The Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Welcome back to the Bliss Business Podcast. Today we're kicking off the new BLISS Monologue Series, and we're starting with the foundation. We're going to talk about bliss, not as a feeling, not as a slogan, and not as something soft, but as a business system. Because if we don't define it correctly, we cannot apply it correctly, can we now? When most people hear the word bliss, they think of peace, calm, or a personal moment. In business, that is not how we use it. In business, bliss is a measurable state of alignment. It is the result of an environment where people feel safe enough to tell the truth, clear enough to know what matters, and empowered enough to act without waiting for permission every 5 minutes. That is bliss in business. Bliss is what happens when love becomes operational. Now, when we say love in business, we're not talking about romance or being soft on standards. We're talking about a disciplined commitment to the well-being and the potential of the people and mission involved. Love in business means we tell the truth. We do not humiliate people. We address issues directly, and we hold a high bar and help people reach it. We build systems that make it easier for humans to do their best work. That is not fluffy. That is leadership design. Here's why it matters right now more than ever. We're operating in a world where everything is accelerating. AI is changing how we work and how work gets done. Customers expect speed and consistency. Teams are distributed. Attention is fragmented. Pressure's high. In that kind of environment, a fear-based culture can still produce output for a little while, but it comes with a hidden tax. The hidden tax shows up as burnout, politics, silence, defensiveness, turnover, and customer inconsistency. So the old model can create motion, but it cannot create clean growth. Bliss is the alternative. Bliss is the foundation for performance that lasts. Let's make that practical, shall we? If people in a company are afraid to challenge a bad idea, bliss is low. If leaders say one thing and then they tolerate another, bliss is low. If teams are busy but unclear, bliss is low. If a customer promise sounds beautiful but the internal experience is chaotic, bliss is low. Bliss is not built through motivational speeches. Bliss is built through organizational design. This is where design thinking matters. In design thinking, we start with empathy because we know that if we do not understand the real human experience needed, we will design the wrong solution. And that applies to customers, and it also applies to teams. A lot of leaders try to solve performance problems with pressure, with fear tactics, with coercion. The real issue, though, is friction. Human friction is a strategy risk. If people are spending energy protecting themselves, navigating unclear decisions, or trying to decode what leadership really wants or means, that is energy they are not spending on customers, innovation, or execution. So bliss starts with leaders who ask different sets of questions, not just the what are our targets? What is our strategy? Those are easy questions to ask, but also ask questions like, what is it like to actually work here? Where do people get stuck? What behaviors are we rewarding? What behaviors are we tolerating? And what behaviors are we punishing? Those questions will reveal the truth of your culture. This is where the Empath IQ framework becomes useful because it gives a practical path. We use empathy to understand the real experience that people want. We use force field analysis to identify what is helping and what is blocking momentum. We use OKRs to create clarity and alignment. And we use self-management principles to increase agency and ownership. And of course, we'll use neuroscience-based coaching to help leaders and teams regulate, adapt, and perform under pressure. That is a repeatable operating model. Now, here's a tangible move for this week. Run a BLISS baseline with the leadership team. Score the organization from 1 to 10 in these 3 areas: trust, clarity, and agency. Then ask 2 follow-up questions for each score. What is increasing the score and what is decreasing the score? Do not defend, do not debate, just listen and capture the answers. That simple exercise will show you where the friction is. It will also show you the first design move that you need to make. If trust is low, start with the rules of engagement. If clarity is low, start with the operating rhythms and priorities. And if agency is low, start with the decision rights and the ownership. We will cover all these topics during the monologues over the next 19 episodes. So, bliss is not accidental. Bliss is engineered. Bliss is what happens when love becomes a system people can actually feel and use. Yes, I said it. Love. Thank you for listening to the Bliss Business Podcast. Next week, we're going to talk about how organizational design works in the real world and why an org chart is not the same thing as a well-designed organization. Until next time, stay blissful.